So here is a draft of my opening for my report on Robert Ballard. In writing the draft, I tried to make sure to include the three main components of an introductory paragraph. I wanted to start with a hook, include some supporting details, and finish with a closing sentence. So let's see if I did that. So in the first sentence up here, I kind of state a fact about Robert Ballard, and then kind of state what he does. As the world's most renowned underwater archaeologist, Ballard has spent more than half his life exploring the geology of the ocean and searching for shipwrecks. I like the sentence. I think it's well crafted. But it doesn't really feel like much of a hook. It kind of feels like I'm getting right to my subject. So I might think of including one or two sentences that come before that. Okay, in the second sentence here, Robert Ballard dives for shipwrecks on the ocean floor. That feels a little short, a little abrupt. It doesn't seem to really flow there. And I do say shipwreck quickly right after it appears here. I'm not sure I'm going to include that. Let's see. Few people knew about the field of underwater archaeology or the people that worked in it. Few people knew about the field of I'm wondering why that sentence is there. Maybe it can be moved. Next sentence, but all that changed in 1985. Okay, I see. Few people knew about underwater archaeology until 1985, because that's when, okay, that all seems to flow. So I like the flow of the information. I think the information's flowing. The order of the information is good. The order of the sentences is good. That is when Robert Ballard discovered the sunken Titanic. Okay, so those are my body sentences, and now here's my closing. Come learn about this fascinating explorer. I like that phrase, come learn about. You often see that in magazines for younger readers, kind of inviting them to go on a journey and learn something new. Okay, so let's see if we can start making some revisions here. Let's focus on the hook. So I want to kind of communicate to the reader, what is Ballard really known for? What does he do? When he dives for shipwrecks, and where does he go? He goes thousands of feet below the surface to the ocean floor. Most people don't go down there, and you know, I'm thinking. I remember when I was a young boy, I would dive in swimming pools to try to find something on the bottom, like a penny, and that pool was only about 8 feet deep. So maybe that might be a fun way to kind of hook the reader, kind of make that comparison to what normal people do and what he does. So I'm going to think about how I might do that. So I think I'm going to kind of go with that concept. So I'm thinking, you know, some people dive for pennies on the bottom of a swimming pool. So I'm introducing this idea of diving, going underwater, because that's what he does. Now I want to draw the contrast. Now I want to state what he does. So Robert Ballard, what does he do? He dives for shipwrecks on the ocean floor. So notice in the hook, I don't actually mention Ballard's name. That very first line, I don't mention his name, but I do in the second line. And then I start going into more detail about who he is. And I think that's a better flow. I think we've hooked the reader and grabbed the reader's interest. So with that hook in there now, with those two sentences there, I'm not sure I need this sentence down here. We said earlier that it was kind of awkward. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this sentence. I don't think we need it. So part of revising is deleting sentences that don't belong. So let's get rid of that. Okay, so now I'm going to return to this sentence. We thought this sentence might have been a little awkward here. What I have a problem with is it doesn't really say for how long people didn't really know about archaeology. So sometimes a little phrase at the beginning of a sentence to kind of connect ideas is a good idea. So I'm going to go with for a long time. For a long time, comma. Okay, for a long time people did not know about the field of underwater archaeology. Okay, but that all changed. You know what? but sometimes is a little too familiar. I'm going to change but to however. That's more academic writing. That's better for writing. That all changed in 1985. That is when Robert Ballard discovered the sunken Titanic. Come learn about this fascinating explorer. So this is reading much better. I'm wondering if the closing sentence could use a little bit more of a punch. So we've been talking a lot about diving here, diving in a swimming pool. Ballard dives for shipwreck. So there's this idea of getting wet when you dive. But you know, when a reader can go on this adventure and have fun learning about Robert Ballard without even getting wet, I kind of like that. So I'm going to tack that on to the end of this sentence. So come learn about this fascinating explorer and plunge the ocean's depths, because that's what we'll do as we learn about him. And we can do this without even getting wet. And I'm going to add a little emotion there and put an exclamation point. And there I have it. That's my opening paragraph. My draft has been revised. I've strengthened my hook, or actually added a hook. I didn't even have a hook. Changed some of the supporting details in the middle and added some transitions like for a long time. And then we closed it by coming back to this idea of getting wet, kind of tying in the hook and the closing sentence. And I think we've done a good job here of grabbing the reader's interest and getting the reader ready to go on this adventure and learn about Robert Ballard.